All right, everyone, welcome back. This is week 6, day 4, part 2. We only thought it was going to be a one-parter. But by popular demand, we're going to do an end-to-end deploy of a brand new Django app. We are going to essentially take an empty directory and turn it into a functioning Django REST framework app. We're going to move. Like, we're moving with this one. We don't have the time for me to explain everything that I'm doing. Which when I have to code when I have to code like that when I'm moving and I have to talk through it, I feel a little uncomfortable doing that. So it should be fun to watch for all of you, because if I'm explaining something, I try to explain it in a slow way. But in order for us to fit in with any sort of time constraints, we're going to have to kind of rev the engine a little bit.
Could you just write out all the steps that we're going to go through, and then?
Well, I can do my best.
Because I started one, but I'm not. I mean, I have one, but I don't know that it's 100%.
Okay. So I'm going to make a new project to put this into. I'm going to call it happydeploy because I feel happy about this project. And then that project is going to be where I'm completely working, okay? And in here, I'm just going to open up, oh, not Spotify. Hello, music. I'm going to open up Atom here, and I'm going to start my notes file. So I'm going to do a number of things. And some of them I might not even know what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to do notes.md. And these are going to be end-to-end Django API in Heroku notes. Step 1 is, aside from make the directory and cd into it, I need to make the virtual environment. So I really don't feel comfortable like numbering all the things that I'm going to do because my brain might forget something and I don't want to have to go through and renumber and reorder everything. So I think what we're going to do is as we go, we're going to see like what we need to do and I will write it. And if I don't write a step down, stop me, like because my brain will want to keep going. So I'm going to make a virtual environment. We know that with making a virtual environment, we need to .envrc. We need to direnv allow. And then we need to pip install pip env. You know what? As step 0, I'm going to say install heroku-cli and do a Heroku login. That's important, but that's something you only have to do once. So that's step 0 in that it's not going to be in every project, but if you get a new computer, you have to do that. All right, so I need to make the virtual environment. So that's going to be the command that I'm going to do that with is going to echo layout python 3 to .envrc. So that says that I'd have to run direnv allow, just like I said.
Well, I thought we would just in that directory create a .envrc file.
I did, right there. Oh, the envrc is right there.
Oh, so you're just the echo is the make. I got you.
Yeah. All right, so now I'm going to run direnv allow. Okay. Now we need to pip install pip env. So we're going to say pip install pip env. The step 2 is going to be install dependencies that we know we will need. You know, I say that we know what we'll need is that if you forget something and you realize you need it later, then just reinstall it later, you big turkey. Steve Rule coming out. Install dependencies. What's one dependency we need? Quick, just fire it at me. Django. Next. I'm gonna do that as drf. Any else? What else we got? Think with deploy in mind, right? What do we need to? What's that? Djoser is for user authentication, so we'll just add it just because. If you think you're going to need it, which you absolutely will in your final project, you may as well. Djoser, what's needed for the deploy step? It's my favorite mythical creature with a gun as an appendage. Gunicorn. That's our web server that can't run without. We've also got, how do we interact with the database? No. Sorry, I'm being a jerk. The request is not the way we interact with the database. It's if you're feeling a little psychotic, dash binary. That's what we do now. What do you install if you want to deploy to Heroku to make your life super easy and make Joel really impressed? Django-heroku. Anything else? You think we put anything else in there? I don't think we do. I think we're good for now.
If we can do all these by putting that in requirements, or
Yeah, we can put all these in requirements if we want, but we're not going to be installing through requirements. We're installing through pipenv. That creates the pip file.
So you can pipenv install -r requirements.
I don't know. I've never used pipenv before.
Earlier.
Well, let's not worry about that. Let's just pipenv install all the requirements. Let's say Django. You know what? In this project, we're going to leave the pipenv, the pip file lock in there. We're going to see if we have to remove it. But I'm thinking ahead here. That's how I am with the programming, though. I think a step ahead. I'm playing four-dimensional chess here. Okay, we have pip env install Django REST framework, all one word. I have pip env install djoser. This is an optional dependency for user authentication. Pip env install gunicorn. We don't need to usually do that until we're done and we're ready to deploy. Psycho pg2 binary, so we're gonna pip env install psycho pg2 binary. You all are gonna see something a little bit different too in my process is I'm going to deploy as soon as I freaking can. The reason I do that is because the longer I wait to deploy, the longer something could go wrong. Like I could put something in there that will break the deploy. So if I deploy early, then that means that I can find a problem with the deploy whenever I introduce it versus, oh crap, I have like a mile of things to fix.
and gunicorns for communicating the server.
Yeah, Gunicorn is a web server that Heroku hooks into. Okay, so we got psychopg2 binary. Now we do django-heroku. So we're going to do pip env install django-heroku. Okay. That should create a pip file lock. I'm going to create a basic Django app now. So if I, let me just double check here. We should have everything we need. Yep, we do. Oh, it didn't make a pip file. Did yours make a pip file lock?
Yeah.
What the heck?
That's really weird.
It's creepy. All right, so after I have my dependencies, I want to make the hello world Django, or make the basic Django app. We're going to do that with the Django. We're going to say django-admin start project happy deploy. Say django-admin start project. Hold on, don't type it all out yet though. So go up to happy deploy, and you do dot at the end of it. That builds it in this directory so that you don't have that weird multi-level directory problem. See, now we have our manage py here. It's where we want it. Okay. Now that we have our project, I should be able to run it to test it. So let's say like 3.1 is test application works. So we do that with Python manage py run server. Whoops. We should see the basic Django page. If you see the basic Django page, when you run your server and you go to the page, then you're good. Okay. So now that we have all that stuff, let's get in the realm of making ourselves a Git repository. So that is for start Git repository with a git init, add stuff to .gitignore, make initial commit, send code to GitHub. That's what we're going to do this step, okay? So we're going to do git init, add stuff to gitignore, so I need to create a gitignore file right here in the base. So we're going to do .gitignore. What does the dot mean in a file, by the way? I already said this, but it's hidden, correct? So in the gitignore file, I'm going to ignore a couple of things. I'm going to ignore _pycache. Pycache is with C-A-C-H-E. I've seen that misspelled sometimes. Make sure if you misspell something, it will not be ignored. I also want to ignore star.pyc. .pyc. No, we leave the .envrc. We don't follow .direnv though. We want the envrc. We don't want direnv though. What else don't we want? What am I forgetting? You know what? Let's just throw pip. Let's just do it. Pipfile.lock. Because if mine, I want yours to be exactly like mine. If I can't get mine to create a pip file lock, then I don't know what I have to do, and I'm not willing to spend the time to figure it out right now. Pip file lock. We also don't want to send up db.sqlite3. It's a database. We don't need to send up our data. Anything else? I don't think we need to do anything else. Let's do a git status, see how everything looks. Looks good to me. Let's do a git add, git commit, initial commit. It's a very small project. Really doesn't do anything yet, but we're going to send it up to GitHub now, okay? So we need to go to GitHub. Oh, I'm going to put this in the notes. Start Git repository. I'm going to say 4.1 is create or send code to GitHub. Step 1 for that is going to be create GitHub repository, wire up local dir to remote repo, git push. So I'm going to go to github.com/taddymania. Your mileage may vary if you go there. He's funny. All right, I'm going to make a new repository. We're going to call this, what's fun deploy? Happy deploy. I'm going to click create repository. All I really need is the repo name. And I'm just going to copy the git remote add origin line. That's all I need. Paste that into your remote, or into here. Let's see, that is the wire up local dir to remote repo. So I've created the GitHub repository. I've wired up the local directory to the remote repo. Now I can do a git push. I'm going to do a git push-u origin master. Whoops. How about I type origin correctly? All right, we did it. Is everybody at the same point? Okay, cool. I didn't leave anybody behind. Next step, we are going to deploy to Heroku. We're deploying early because the mantra is I want you to deploy early and often. So you get new code, deploy it. If it breaks your app, fix it. Don't let all your stuff break and then fix it at the end of the day. That will be a very, very bad time. So step 5 is going to be deploy to Heroku. What we need to do is we need to do a Heroku create on the CLI. So I can't put that shortcut anywhere and not click on it. I may as well just take it off the board. I haven't played that game in months. It's probably since your guys' class started. I haven't played it. What's that?
It's begging
Yeah, it's like, let me play.
you. It's the ring it calls to you.
Exactly. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to send this up to Heroku. So we're going to do a Heroku create in this directory. Let that do its thing. What?
What a name.
Nameless escarpment. What's an escarpment? What?
Rocky Citadel.
Rocky Citadel? What do you got?
Quiet Lake.
Quiet Lake? I like that one. That's
Peaceful.
what's yours?
I'm actually just typing a bunch of notes.
Shh. You're not getting the real experience, man. Okay, that's no big deal. So what we've got, if we do a git remote -v, we should be able to see Heroku and origin. So let's say Heroku create confirm with git remote -v. You should see origin and Heroku remotes. Okay. Step 5, deploy. So we're going to do a push to Heroku now. We're going to git push Heroku. Oh, wait, no, we're not ready yet. We're not going to do a push yet. We need to configure app to work in Heroku. So it was a little early for us to push to Heroku. So we need to configure app to work in Heroku. Step 1. Add star to, whoops. Why is that? To remote hosts, settings.py. So inside of settings.py, or it's allowed hosts, not remote. So I'm going to say allowed hosts. So that's just a string of star. We don't have an installed app yet, so we're not quite ready for that yet. We're not worried about our database thing yet.
If you put app there, would it be weird to have?
It would break it. It wouldn't work.
So you don't have to go ahead and add REST framework to the install apps?
Not yet, because we're not using it yet. We're only doing what we need to deploy our very basic application, and REST framework and app would be application specific. So we're going to continually adding things and deploying it. But down here, we also need to do our Django-Heroku configuration. So I don't know if you remember how to do that, but I sure as heck do. You say import Django-Heroku. So let me go ahead and add that to my notes. So Django-Heroku, you import and you say Django-Heroku.settings, and you pass in locals as the function. It's kind of a really clever way of doing it. We test that this works locally. I think that's all we really need to do to configure the app. Oh, wait, no. Now we need to add. This is not under the configure app to work on Heroku. This is a step back from there. So we're going to say add Procfile. We need to tell Heroku how it runs it. So in the happydeploy directory up at the very top, so this is going to sit next to pip file. I'm going to make a Procfile. That Procfile is going to define the web worker and how it runs. So in our case, web is going to run gunicorn, and the project name is going to be happydeploy, and we're going after the WSGI module. That's going in my notes. Add Procfile, add web worker.
Put forward first.
Yeah, we haven't pushed to Heroku yet. Okay. So how do you remember how we can test to see if this works locally? Heroku local web. You almost got it. Let's run Heroku local web. Looks like the app starts up. We go to localhost 5000. It still boots up. Port 5000. Perfect. You're getting an error. What did you spell wrong?
It says no Procfile and no package.json found in current version.
So you did not do the period when you started your project.
Yeah, it did.
Well, then you're not running it from the root of the directory. Then you need to run it from the same directory as the Procfile.
What was the command? It was Heroku.
To what? Create?
Test it.
Oh, Heroku local web. What did we spell wrong, John? What was it?
No, I wasn't wrong. I have two terminal windows open, one for the project and one for the notes.
The only person here judging you is Zach. I just thought I would throw you under the bus. I felt like doing that. All right, so we're gonna test app works locally by running Heroku local web. So that shows that your pre-flight checklist is good. If it runs locally without any weird errors, we can feel pretty good about sending it up. So that means I'm going to kill my server, Control-C. I'm going to do a git add with everything. We're going to say Heroku stuff good. I'm going to add the note that I did that. Commit all Heroku stuff. Then we're going to push code to Heroku to initiate deploy. That would be git push Heroku master. So we're going to do a git push Heroku master. Let's do it. Let it build from source.
All the authentication stuff we just have to do before we create the app. So, right.
Yeah, the Django user. Yeah. That's right. I almost forgot about that. We need to do that for djoser. Well, that's only optional for djoser. Or it's only required if you're doing djoser stuff, which you're probably most likely going to have to do. Okay, this is going to deploy here. And we should be able to go to our deployed app at nameless escart. Wait, what? Oh, no, that's +1 to GitHub. Never mind. So let's go ahead and check out our app deployed in production. There we go. We got it, folks. You should see your Welcome to Django app running in production. Do you see an error or do you see the app running? Awesome. Well, that's kind of huge, right? We didn't even create our app yet, but our app is running on Heroku. Like, that's a great place to be. In fact, if you start your final projects like that, when the time comes to it, and you say, you know what, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to deploy my empty shell web application to production, you're already handling a huge step. Like, one of the big steps that always trips people up with final projects is deploying to Heroku or deploying somewhere, because they've got this huge existing app. They're like, okay, well, I'm finished with my app. I need to go deploy it. And they realize they have 0 Heroku configuration done. So this idea now is that your workflow is going to be, I made a feature. I'm going to test out that the app works before I push that feature. App works. Push the feature. Deploy the app. App doesn't work. You know what you broke. Check the log files. It probably has to do with the feature. It's a better way of working. So step 5, we deployed Heroku. Now what we want to do is push to GitHub. So git push origin master. All right, so now GitHub and Heroku have the same information. We're sending the same commits to 2 different places. GitHub for storage, Heroku for deploy to run our app. Let's see, what's next step? Start app. We need to start app now. So we're going to say 6 is to start application.
So I thought that's where djoser came in, so we had to do that before we started that. There was those couple things we were supposed to add.
What couple things? You mean like the user? The user model?
No, not that. Maybe it was just before you do the migration. There was
Right.
something you were saying, if you migrate first and then try to implement this, it would be a lot.
The token auth stuff? Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. I think that was fine. So we're going to start the application. That's going to be Python manage py start app. We're going to say app name, whatever your app name is. I'm going to say Python manage py start app, and I'm going to call mine app just because I'm lazy, not because that's what you have to call it. So we have an app now that we can add stuff to. I want to make a very basic template view. I think at this point we're going to do a template view and an API view. What do you want to do first, template view or an API view? Template view? Okay. So let's go into our views file. We're going to say from django.views.generic import template view. I wish I could type as fast as I talk. And then with this template view, I'm going to create a class-based view called index view that inherits from template view. We give it the template name, index.html. Is everybody good there? Now we know that that's going to error. Oh wait, no, I'm like haven't taken notes in a while. I need to slow it down. Start application. Create 7 is add template view in views.py. Call it index view. Configure class to use template. Then what we're going to do is we are going to create template directory in app.dir. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go into my app, control-click new directory, new folder. I'm going to call that templates. And inside of that templates directory, I'm going to create a new file called index.html. I need to slow down, don't I, Zach?
In the app, you make a template folder.
Yeah, in the app folder, you make a templates folder. And inside of that folder, you create an index.html.
It's a file.
It's a file, yes. That will make it so that your view will work without an error. Now we just need to make it wired up. Let's say for notes, we create a template directory, create index.html. Step 8, I want to wire up my view to the slash route in urls.py. So that means I create a row in my URL patterns for an empty string that will go to the slash route. URLs is in the project directory. Let's say path for empty string is indexView.asView. And then, of course, I need to import my index view. So that's from app.views import index view. Okay, with all of that being said and done, we should be able to test this out now. I'll make that as a step. 8.1, or no, I'll make this as a sub-step, not an 8.1. Test the route works in browser. We don't expect to see much, but we do expect to see something. All right, so I'm going to do a run server. Do I have any bugs, any errors? Nope, that's deployed. That's not running. Okay, something I forgot to do is when it doesn't work, make sure you've added your app to installed apps. So in settings, we're going to go up to installed apps, and we're going to add app to it. Okay, so your installed apps should have app in it. I'll restart my server just for good measure. All right, I have a template view that works. You're getting page not found.
I see your URLs. I thought, in the notes, I thought you were putting slash.
Right, I was referring to slash as in like that's what it would be referred to from the URL from the browser standpoint. Functionality standpoint, from the real life standpoint, how we code it, we put nothing in there. That is what we'll call our root route. All right, everybody good there? All right, let's deploy to Heroku. We'll do a git add, git commit. This is added app and basic view. Hit push Heroku master. This is weird. We did install psychopg2 binary. Still gave me the error though. What? What's wrong?
No, I'm just saying, yeah, I did.
Oh. All right, let's go test out nameless escarpment. My expectation here is that I don't see the Django default page. I just see a blank page. There we go. I have a blank page. So I've got my template view wired up. Now what I need to do is I need to implement a user, a custom user. Remember how to do a custom user? Absolutely not. I don't mean create a user in our database. I mean create a custom user model in our app. Remember so that we could use djoser?
User abstract.
Yep. So another thing that we can always look up is just say custom user model Django. I need to make sure I'm taking these notes. Step 9 is going to be deploy to Heroku. I didn't forget anything between add your app to installed apps and deploy to Heroku. Nope, I didn't. Deploy to Heroku. Then 10. When that's good, we are going to create custom user model in our app/models.py. Where's the user? Where's
Add a git commit there if you want to. That's really all.
where is the base? Oh, here it is, right here. substituting a custom user model. Here we go. I wanted to get that URL for you all. Okay, what's that? What do I look like? Close out all of these and reopen my notes. Okay, so in my models PY, I'm going to import that abstract user, which is, I mean, honestly, you could just copy and paste all of this and put this in there, and it would work just fine. Remember that from that lecture where we did it the other day? I am not going to copy and paste it. Django contrib auth models. I'm going to say from django.contrib.auth.models import abstract user. Then we are going to create a sort of like a proxy class called user, and that's going to inherit from abstract user. We're just going to type pass below it. So that's going to effectively be our app's new user. And then we need to make sure that we add auth user model attribute to settings.py. If it doesn't work, then you get weird stuff like John got earlier. Remember when we were working on yours, we didn't have that in there. Kind of gave all sorts of errors when we were migrating.
Can you just pass through the user?
What do you mean pass through?
Like pass.
Oh yeah, that just, we don't put any other attributes on there. I'm going to add the auth user model to my settings.py. So in the settings.py at the very bottom, above django-heroku settings, like make sure that django-heroku settings is always the last thing. I'm going to say auth user model is equal to app.user. That's a string. The reason why I'm saying django-heroku.settings has to be at the very bottom is because if we were to define auth user model below it, then Django-Heroku settings wouldn't pick it up. It only picks up locals that are defined above it here. I believe. I'm actually not 100% sure on that, but I think that's how it works. Remember how I said I'm not really sure how it works? I think that's how it works. So that would mean that when we went to go deploy that, the auth user model would be broken, but locally it would work, which is a really difficult bug to code around. You have something that you can't replicate locally, it makes it very difficult to debug. Okay, so we do that. Let's see what else we need to do. We also need to let's go add REST framework to our apps, or our installed apps. 11 is add REST framework and REST framework dot token auth. I think it's token auth like that. I can never remember if there's a or is it auth token? Auth underscore token or auth like that. Django REST framework auth token your app. Okay, it's .auth token, no underscore. To installed apps. So inside of installed apps in settings.py, we are going to add REST framework and REST framework dot auth token. Okay. Now with that, we should be able to run some migrations. So let's do a make migrations. Come in here and say Python manage.py make migrations. Okay, so that it created the model user. Now let's run our migrations. How do you run your migrations?
When you put REST framework install apps, do you have underscores?
REST framework has an underscore in it.
That's what it is.
Yeah, when you pip install it, it refers to as Django REST framework is the project you pip install has no underscore. It's called Django REST framework. When you work with it as a module, it's REST underscore framework. It's the weirdest thing. It's always tripped me out. Always got me. All right, you got that good? Okay, so make sure you make your migrations.
You're on the lock user model. Oh. My user is there.
Okay. So now we can migrate. So I'm going to say Python manage py migrate. That worked. That worked for everybody locally. Okay, hold on a second. And then, so locally, you do Python manage py migrate. Then on Heroku, git push all migrations. So what we need to do is we need to make a commit of our migration that we just created because we want to migrate on Heroku. So we're going to do a git add dot. Actually, I don't think we need to, but it's bad practice. We're going to commit. We're going to say added custom user model. And then we're going to git push Heroku master. I think we're over time.
I see it. That's what's going on.
Yeah. All right, you ready to migrate on Heroku? That command is Heroku run Python manage py migrate. So you pretty much run the exact same thing you run locally, only you put it in front of Heroku run. Heroku run will run that in the environment. So we can say Python manage py migrate. It's going to connect to your server, and it's going to execute that command. Good? Okay. So let's implement user login, logout, which is essentially just going to token create, right? Okay. Those are with djoser. So I'm going to link to the djoser documentation. Djoser, read the docs, is stable. What we need to do are the token-based authentication backends. Here we go. Here's supplemental information. Also pasting this into the notes. So we just need to add djoser to installed apps first. Add djoser to installed apps. So I'm going to have to go up to installed apps, say djoser. Make sure you always have these commas in there, otherwise stuff will break. Then we need to add our auth paths. This says to do it in URLs, but I'll tell you the real way to do it in Django 2. So we go to our urls.py file. I'm going to say I want a path called auth. And that's going to be include. And that's going to be djoser.urls, right? Yeah, inside the string. Now, we don't automatically have this include method or function available, so you need to import it from django.contrib. So hold on, I'm getting kind of ahead of myself here. Add djoser to installed apps. Add paths to URLs. You may need to import include. So that you import include from Django contrib right here. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Django URLs. It would not be from contrib. That's an admin app. URLs has include. All right, then we can add another line in here for our token auth. So it'd be, again, it would be the same base auth slash, and then that would include djoser.urls. I believe it's auth token. Yep, just like Django REST framework, auth token. Okay, if you got those two things, which are add paths to URLs, now, John, run Python manage py create super user to create super user in app. Because we need something to test against. So I'm going to say Python manage py create super user. Username is admin. Email is blanks. Password is safe pass. Password is safe pass again. User is created successfully. Yay. What? Okay, that's fine.
URLs.
Got a syntax error in your URLs. Missing a comma. All right. It happens. You guys will be doing this in your sleep.
Would.
You're good. So now what I want to do is I want to run the server. I'm going to make a note in here. Test user token creation works. Post to /auth/token/create with username and password in body, in request body. Run server. Okay, so I'm going to open up Postman. I'm going to do exactly what I said to do there. Post to auth token create with their username and password in request body. So I'm going to say post to auth/token/create. I'm going to turn off any authorization headers that I have. Username and password I'm going to send over, but I'm going to make sure that my username is admin. Password is safe pass. Okay, should be able to post that. I get an auth token. Sweet. That works. At least it works locally. And we're going to test user token destroy works. postman. And we are going to post to auth token / destroy with auth token as header. Authorization token paste token here. So that says how do you paste, or how do you send the authorization header over? And we don't need a body. Nothing in body. So no username and password or anything. All right? You all with me? Yeah. Or is it a delete? No, it's not a delete. You do a post. It's a post, thank you. Let's see if it works. Authentication token. Okay, let's try to just do a delete to it. Maybe I was wrong. Authentication credentials were not provided. These are my authorization. Or, oh. Nope, that's fine. What did I do wrong? Where's the djoser documentation? Yep. We need to copy this default authentication classes. We need to tell it that it's using token authentication. I'm going to put that in the notes. Whoops. We didn't tell settings to use token authentication for incoming requests. I'll get rid of that one there. But yeah, so that's what you're going to want. And that is also still in the Slack history if you want to copy and paste it. What's that? Right? That's up there, right? Way up there. I paste that into my settings file above django-heroku. Got it in there? All right, let's try one more time. Let's do a post to auth token destroy. Uh-oh, I broke it. What? I have a syntax error somewhere. Looks good to me. Settings.installed apps is broken or something? What did I do wrong? I don't know what that was. I erased this character, which shouldn't have been a problem. Oh, that would be... No, that wouldn't be a problem. I know, I just restarted my app and it works. You all right, Kevin? Yeah, are you getting the same thing? Yeah, just delete this comma that's right at the end of default authentication classes. You see that? And restart the app. See if it'll work.
Still get authentication permissions.
Did you restart the server? Like a hard restart? So inside of Postman, make sure that the check mark is next to it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have token.
Yeah, you need to have token in front of it. It's a big one. All right, make sure we're on notes. Let it get rid of that comma there so it doesn't propagate. Now it should work. Okay, so auth token create, auth token destroy work. Good. Now what we need to do is we need to migrate locally. What step are we on? 13? 14. Migrate locally. So what we're going to do, Python manage py migrate. Oh, that's weird. No migrations to apply?
We already migrated earlier.
I expected there to be an auth token one, though. But auth token is getting caught here, and it's not my. So I'm guessing it's good then. Sounds good to me, right? Okay, I'm just going to erase that step then. We're not going to migrate locally. We're not going to migrate in the cloud. Now we want to deploy. So 14, commit all changes, and push to Heroku. Added user auth stuff for API. Git push Heroku master.
And commits apply to basically wherever you're pushing it, it's all the same.
When you said commit, you're doing a git add and then
Yes. Okay, let's go test out our endpoints. So I'm going to make sure that, what is this, the crusty escarpment? There we go. I'm going to post to auth token create. I don't have a super user in Heroku, though. I had one locally, but I need to create one up in Heroku. So I'm going to make a note in here. So create super user in Heroku. That command is Heroku run Python manage py create super user. It's essentially the create super user, but you put Heroku run in front of it, and it runs it on the server. Or say Heroku run Python manage py create super user. Connecting us to our server. We are going to admin. I'm not going to tell you what my password is because it's in the cloud. It's safe pass.
Like, could we do that Heroku super user right after we get the Python one, or that regular one for local?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe. Depends on when we deployed. Oh, you know what? We did this migrate step earlier, and that's why we didn't have to migrate again, is because I already had Django REST auth token in the installed apps, I believe. says to create super user. There just didn't. There wasn't a point to making it in Heroku because we didn't have this stuff deployed yet. So when it's deployed, then we're going to create the super user, and we're going to test auth token create and destroy, same as above, but with Heroku host as URL. So I've got nameless escarpment, admin pass. Let's see, let's send this over. I have an auth token. If I set that on my header, I should be able to switch that out to auth token destroy, do a post to that, and it works. So I did all that stuff that I'm supposed to do. It works in Heroku as well as locally. So I can create a user locally. I can destroy that user session. There's also a sign-up endpoint at some point somewhere in here that djoser has exposed. But yeah. All right, one last step. We should be able to do this in 10 minutes. I want to create a model, just a basic model. And we're going to have a REST endpoint to list it out. And it will also create it, okay? Ready to do this? We can do this. So, sure, why not? We don't have any other choice. We are going to add a timestamp model to app. And all this model is going to be dumb, because all it's going to do is say class timestamp. It's going to inherit from models.model, and the only field it's going to have is the created field, which is models.datetime field. And who remembers the attribute I put in there for it to set itself? Something now. You're almost there. You're 1/3 of the way there.
Auto something.
Oh, you're 2/3 of the way there.
Auto.
Boom. Auto now add is equal to true.
Teamwork right there.
You did all the hard work. John just thought of one word and reordered them. Okay, we've got timestamp. So let's see. My notes. Add timestamp model to app. Make migrations and migrate locally. So we're going to say Python manage py make migrations. And I'm going to say Python manage py migrate. That was easy, right? We did it. Let's add. Oh, you know what? It's not going to be very useful. No, let's not worry about the admin right now. Admin will be fine. What we're going to do is we're going to create the API views now, or the API view to do the list and create. Okie dokie?
Would
Okay.
you also push that to Heroku? Or?
Yeah, this would be a good time to push it to Heroku. 15. Heroku deploy git add everything commit push. We're going to do a git add, git commit, added timestamp model, git push Heroku master. There's really no good way to test that this worked, though. So I try to have my deploys in a way that like I can test that what I've just pushed worked. So I was trying to think like we could lump up the API calls into a deploy with this.
Create the model and view and then deploy.
Yeah, that's one way. That you can test that as you go, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. But now that we've deployed it, we need to run the migration because it didn't run the right migration. Now we need to migrate it in Heroku. So you deploy. Step 17 is migrate new model on Heroku. So we do heroku run python manage py migrate. Okay. Migrate.
You don't have to do make migrations on Heroku.
No, because we've already had the plan, right? Remember the geese make their plan?
Because that gets sent out.
That gets sent up. It doesn't that after you make the migration, it gets sent up, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. You want it to run locally, and you want it to run the same
wait
one
to
there.
push until after you've done. So if you add a
That's what
model-
I've been doing. We've been pushing, and then we've been migrating. You want to make sure that those migrations are out there. As if they're not, it might just say no changes to apply. Migrate new model on Heroku. Okay. Now we need to create 18 is create list and create API view for timestamp model. So inside of our views, I'm going to import from REST framework .views import generics. Inside of here, I'm just going to say class, and then we're going to call this the timestamp list create API view. That's going to inherit from generics dot list create API view. That's a doozy. We need to define two things on this class. What do we need to define typically in an API view?
Get,
No.
No, I'm sorry. The model and the serializer. Which we haven't created
The serializer class. No, see, we don't have that. The model you're thinking of is actually the query set. We need the query set, and that is going to be equal to timestamp.objects.all. And I need to import timestamp here, so I'm going to say from app.models import timestamp. I've got the view created. I don't have the serializer class, though. I need to create that. So that's going to be create serializer class, or create serializer for timestamp model. That's a sub-object of 18 since it's dependent upon 18, or 18 is dependent on it being to be complete. So I'm going to make a serializer's PY and put that into there. So control click on app, new file, serializers.py. And I'm going to say from REST framework import serializers. And I'm going to implement that by doing a class called the timestamp serializer. That's going to inherit from serializers dot model serializer. That doesn't have any attributes except for a class meta. And that's going to define the fields. We're going to do that as a string of dunder all. And we're going to have the model is going to be equal to timestamp. And we are going to, from app.models, import timestamp here. Woo! That's a chunky one. All right, you got all that? I hope. We're going to do the serializer here in a second. Since we just created the serializer. I created the serializer for the timestamp model. Cool. Now I'm going to import that into views. So I'm going to say from app.serializer s import timestamp serializer. And then down here on the API view, I'm going to say serializer underscore class is equal to timestamp serializer. make sure I got that in my notes. Create serializer, add query set, and serializer class to API view.
What was the second thing you imported to serializer.py?
Timestamp.
That's real quick.
Step 19, add a path for timestamp API view in our URLs PY. So we'll say path, that's going to be timestamps. It's going to be timestamp API or timestamp list create API view dot as view. I'm going to go ahead and drop that into my notes. And you guys feeling exhausted yet? Yep, we're going to get done in plenty of time. Yep, you're right. I do need to import that into the URLs. So that'd be timestamp list create API view. All right, let's test that this works locally. So I'm going to say localhost 8000. I want to do a get to timestamps. My server's not running. Let's test the server. Let's make sure I have, oh, it's not generics, it's generic. So that would be in my app views PY. Let's go fix that. So it's not generics, just generic. I didn't have that in notes, did I? I don't think I did. I didn't. Views, yeah, it was generics. Maybe you get it right, maybe I didn't. Can't import name generic? Okay, let's fix it. Django REST API generic view. No reason to play around. Let's just look it up. REST framework. Oh, it's not views. I was so close. I was so close. It's just REST framework import generics. Okay, so we're saying get rid of views and make generics plural again. Sorry about that confusion, guys. Okay, that should be good. Turn off the authorization token because we don't need that for this view, and it's an empty list. If I switch that to be a post, I don't need to have anything in the body. It works. Okay, so I want to catch up on some of these notes here.
When did you create one?
What?
When did you create one?
Just now. I just did a post with no body to timestamps, and all it does is create the timestamp. What's that? Is it good? Okay. Let's see. 20 would be to double check for any typos or import errors. What errors are you getting? Test locally that you can get to / timestamps and post to create a timestamp. What's that?
I'm good.
You're good? We're almost done. we're crossing the finish line now. Since it works locally on my computer, all I need to do now is deploy it, and we can be done. 22 steps.
Can you post it to what? What's the slash timestamps?
Yeah, same URL.
And then you just did it again.
Yep.
See that it's there.
Yep. There it is. You good? Whew. It's going surprisingly smooth.
Everything's about to break.
Well, we only have one step left, so everything could be that one step. But I'm going to tell you it's not going to be too bad. Okay, so we're going to git add everything. 22. Git add everything. Commit. Push to Heroku. Commit. Added REST API view for timestamp. Git push Heroku master. So now, with what you have up on Heroku, you have a shell of an application that you can just start building your app on top of. Has an API view you can build it around. You can put more API views in there. It has a model. You know the workflow for adding more models. You have user authentication. You have user authorization where you can add into there, with permissions. So you could say like is owner or read only. You know how to do that. All that stuff can get put into here. So this project, like if we were to go to a hackathon, this would be what I did for like the first half an hour. Just this. It's like, all right, our app it's scaffolded, it's ready to go, it's in the cloud. Now we just work on features and we can push them as we go. So it's like the hardest thing to do, in my opinion, is always to deploy an app. And the longer it's been between deploys, the harder it is. This is why companies that deploy once a month, somebody has to stay up really late, babysitting it, making sure that it goes well. Because it's probably not going to go well. This is why a company I've worked for previously, that we actually had nightly deploys. And we never really we never really stressed over a deploy. Occasionally we would if it was a big one. Frat? Did you just made that up?
That's what I say, frat.
Frat. Git add everything, commit, push to Heroku. I push to Heroku. Let's see if this works in Heroku. All right, hold on a second. We gotta see if this works. We're not out of the clear yet. Let's go ahead and do a get to timestamps. Let's change that to a post. We don't need anything in the body. I'm gonna create a bunch of them. I'm gonna change that back to a get. There we go. I can also go to here from the browser. There's my API. I love that I can create just by pressing post. I mean, it's just a basic model with no fields, so it just creates itself.
You forgot what the address was to Heroku. What command would you look up to see what?
I don't know. Oh, you could just do Heroku open. You type Heroku open, will open a tab to your host. Oh, I forgot we got a template view in there. Good for us. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and git add everything. Finished notes. I'm going to git push origin master so it's up on GitHub. And it's in Heroku. Good to go. There's nothing we didn't implement here. Now, if you can, where you go from here, this is completely up to you, right? You've got options of making more complex models, more complex views. You have a template view. We don't have static files will work. We haven't entered the static files stuff though, but you could do that. Make that static files directory, and it should just work just because of django-heroku. But yeah, I think like if you can do this on your own again, this is the start of your final project. I think you got a good start. Like you could do this day one without final projects. I started my final project, I deployed it. That's like a huge weight off your back. I keep saying it. I've said it at least 3 times. The hardest thing for most students in final projects is getting it to run in the dang cloud. And if you can get it to run early and then every new feature you push it out, you will relieve yourself from that stress. All right, I'm going to stop recording here because I just mentioned relieving yourself. So that was funny. Bye.